Good evening, dear all. We are so happy to see everybody on our regular Tuesday webinar series of English Without Borders Network. And today we are very happy to host Mutriba Ismoilova, who is an active English Without Borders member, and she will talk about using board games in English classes. Today she will be sharing about her teaching practice and also just teaching tips that could be useful and can be useful for everybody. And let me give some brief introduction of our speaker. Mutriba Ismoilova graduated from the Oriental Languages Department of Khujand State University. Her majors are Arabic and English languages. Since 2007, she has been an English instructor at the Institute of Economy and Trade of the Tajik State University of Commerce. Since 2020, she is the head of the Foreign Languages Department. Mutriba teaches business English and foreign language education for professional purposes in the Institute. She participated in the following programs like Erasmus Mundus program in Johannes Kepler University in Linz, Austria in 2012, and English Teaching Mentor program in 2016. And she also was an alumni of the study of the United States Institute SUSI program for scholars and secondary educators program in Seattle, the USA. And with great pleasure, I'm giving the floor to Mutriba Ismoilova to deliver her presentation. Dear audience, please use this chance to ask your questions and enhance your teaching experience and address your questions to our speaker using Zoom link and also on using the comment box on Facebook. Thank you very much. Mutriba, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to express my gratitude to English Without Borders because this is the best platform to enrich our knowledge, our world, and I'm happy that today I have you and you in order to enrich this thing because it is very interesting for teacher as a lecturer university. I want to share experience, something from your questions, and during our conversation, I hope it will be very useful for both of us. And yes, I want to say sorry why I choose this one because that states that humans have intelligence. Howard Gardner claims that we are exploring a certain topic in school. It should be approached in 6 ways. In order to maximize the chances of reaching all students in the classroom, the ultimate goal is seeing if it's possible to approach a specific topic by using, for example, we can play or other interactions in order to enrich to make our interesting for our students. And games deserve a place in the classrooms where foreign language lessons are taught for a variety of reasons. And that's why on the one hand, because they are fun for most, which is important because they help activating those students who easily because of their classes. And keeping students attentive to their lessons is vital because cannot teach something if students are in it. That's why we use both classes in order to make our students attracted and make their interest to our lessons. On the other hand, more one goals in games, and it is in general, is building interpretation and including and putting everyone on the same level. And playing in the classroom usually creates a positive atmosphere where due to their rules, we should follow the game and we can maintain a real exciting learning environment. Okay, you can roll my presentation. Here is, I want to say some presentation. You can roll please. Yeah. And here is, I want to say some words. How do you use board games? You can write your comments. answers. I want to say through their use of board. One of the best solutions to motivate students when learning English is board game, because most of them are fun, challenging, and interesting. Types of motivation in board games. The first one, the second one, intrinsic, and the third one, achievement. And here is we can say about motivation. This takes place especially when the participants have the desire to complete. And every student, every children want to show their ability in order to be the best among schoolmates, classmates, and be the leader. Intrinsic motivation derives from the interest in the board game. And here is we can say that everybody wants to be the best, and achievement motivation is based on doing than other participants. Okay, please, next slide. Yeah. Okay. Here is you can see one of the type of board games. You can use it during your classes in order to open your shy students' ability, and they are and use it in order to identify how and where show their ability to be among their classmates. Here is we can that board games sometimes help us to improve some skills like another slide, please. Yeah. And here is we have the cognitive skills and social skills contained in language. They can improve, for example, in cognitive skills, board games help us to concentrate some memory, processing our speed. And in social skills, they teach us to tolerate the frustration and emotional management. And of course, about the content in language, we can say that both games help us to improve our listening, speaking, writing, and reading skills. Please next. Yeah, here is thought about the intrinsic motivation, and the next one, extrinsic motivation. And next one. Yeah, and next one. Okay. We can say about the benefits of board games. As we know, everything has their own reason why do we use it. And here we can underline that the benefits of board games very huge classes if we will use in the right way. For example, the first thing that benefit the first playing increase brain function. It means nevertheless you are young person during the game, you will try your best in order to make your brain work faster. The second thing is board games enhance creativity and self-confidence. During the game, everybody feel themselves as a child, and the child, they want to show their ability to be the first. They try to show that they can do this, they can answer, they can share, and remember the answer of the group mates. The third one, it teaches them goal and to be patient, because sometimes we can set our goal, but we don't know what step to use in order to reach our goals. Games can help us to be patient and to use the time in the right way to get our goal. And the fourth one is, of course, closer and straightness relationship. During board game, you can divide your students, and they be in one little circle, and they make friends and listen attentively. It brings straightness to their relationships. One I cannot brings laughter and decrease stress. When we are happy, when we are glad to learn something new. And of course, foreign language is a little difficult for most of people. If you take fun and learn languages, it will be easy for you because you feel yourself satisfied. The sixth one, board game playing create more happiness. If you are happy, of course, everything is easy for you. Next, I can say that using board games for teaching English especially in teaching English, because as an English lecturer, I had to say that games makes my lessons more attractive and interesting for my students. Next slide, please. Yes, thank you. Here is, you can see the example of board game which I took from the American English platform. Here is, you can use for the first or second lessons during your course. During this game, you can ask about your students. Sometimes that's why they can't answer or they can't show their personality, and you can use both games as a impact to open their ability. And here is, as you see, a lot of questions, interesting questions. Thing I really enjoying is, during using this game, you can classify your students' ability of answering. For example, sometimes students answer in simple response, grammatical sentences. Some students, of course, answer with complex sentences. For example, they can say 2 or 3 in order to show what are they really interested in it. Okay, please. It answers, of course, as you see, we can say that shown the simple answer that here is said that, for example, something I really enjoy doing is simple answer. You can just add some word going. It means that students try to say a little word, but a simple response can be by another way. For example, response, if they say classes is too short, or I hardly get a chance to speak in. As we know, sometimes we are short in time, but we have many students enough time to answer, and if students in some and gives them these board games, it makes them to speak, and every student have chance to speak in their own way. And here is, we can say, please next one. Yeah, very interesting question to all my colleagues. How many skills in learning languages can board games improve? To listen your opinion if you want to answer, or you can write it. Okay, we'll maybe this presentation. Okay, next, all of them. Yeah, you are right. And here is, I want to open and to say some of all of them, because you are right. Using board games for teaching English, game provides language practice and various skills like speaking, writing, listening, and reading at the same time. They encourage, interact, and communicate. They create a meaningful context for language use. Why? Because they try, or they want to share their ideas, their opinion according. For example, in our university, a majority of our students are economics. And that's why they are like, and they are the first course, the freshman students. And sometimes then they don't know some economical terms, and it is difficult for them to speak in this field. And we, with our colleagues, create some board games connecting with business, with law area, and we make our students terms and use during their speech, during their conversation, because they are in the future will be the specialists with knowing of course, English is the first one of it. And we can say, make our students, we try our best in order to make them not only write or listen attentively and speak, of course, the same time. Okay, please, next slide. Yeah. And here is, we said about the writing. Sometimes some teachers ask, or some people ask, how board games can help in writing. But we can say for sure that they help exactly. For example, in the case of writing, content that has to be worked a lot in the classroom, and it quite slowly, and sometimes it is difficult and boring process for students. And it can fit perfectly in board game. Why? Because in board game, it's not just to have fun. It sometimes makes them to spell or to remember the word in order not to be in a mistaken way. For example, it can fit perfectly in board game as we provide students reasons to write and to say utilitarian for any word formation game with cards would be useful for working in writing in a fun way, such as scramble game. Scramble game, for example, when we use with our students, they made our students to think about how the word meat, because sometimes they by spelling meat with the meat we can eat and with the meet each other in person. And it is very interesting to make them to think about the meaning of the word in grammar issue, of course, and in vocabulary one too. Okay, next, please. Listening. This is the best way and the best thing which I use during my classes, because I want to share some of my experience with our teachers groups which are taught in English. And of course, the ability of listening for students is very, very useful. That's why board games are also a good way to train our listening skills. For instance, those games in which there is an interlocutor, for example, we are teachers and make our students remember it, and after we can discuss with them what did we say and why above this problem was underlined during our speech. And it means that students have to listen to each other attentively topic or after dialogue which was spoken. They have to remember everybody's answer in order to make the chain. Where did it start and ended? We can take another slide. Okay, and speaking, one of the most important points in the knowledge of language in the communication or speaking was it a useful tool, as you know, because sometimes some issues which we can't ask, which we sometimes shy, you can use board games in order to make students to think about their answers. Sometimes no more than the active students, but they shy, they think that they have some grammatical problem, they can't translate the sentence. But as our teacher says, nevertheless, we have mistakes. We have to try to speak in order to make our speech better, because everybody has their own mistakes, but still we have to improve it. And here is we can underline the requisite board games are a very, but the most important point is that teacher using English is a vehicular language in front of the rest of the group. Khujand city and Tajikistan, maybe we can say whole Tajikistan, are bilingual language people. Sometimes we can't make our sentence in one Tajik language. Sometimes we mix Russian, English words, and it becomes something very interesting for us to explain our ideas, to share opinions. And the same problem I have to my own self too, because when I start speaking in Tajik, I can't finish in Tajik phrases. I can take from English or Russian words in order to express my idea. The same thing I can my students' answers, and it makes our students be more active during speaking. They try to find out new words in order to share their opinion. Okay, you can take another slide. Yeah. Thank you. Reading. Of course, here's the question: why board games very interesting or important during reading skills? Yes, it's of course important, because if you read in the right way, if you know the word on board game and you can read properly, it's extremely important that teachers have tools to work on reading skills, and it will be better if they help keeping topic in the classroom. For example, through board games, vital for writing in the correct way, but if we still remember that Yeah, some people have a memory during a good memory during reading. Some people has good memory during listening. Makes students to work with 4 skills: reading, speaking, writing at the same time. It means 4 memories in the same time started to work in order to make easier to remember a new language, new words from English language. Terms from economical field. And our students sometimes said that for shy students, better. But for who talk active, they likes to talk more. We can collaborate with them, and board games make that students work with each other to help. Sometimes it makes them a lifelong friends in order to show that they have the same interest. Okay, thank you. Next, please. And the types of board I usually use during my classes. For example, as you see, we have here present perfect tense. As you know, we have in our Tajik language these types of tense, and sometimes it is difficult for us. And during using these board games, I explain them that you can use this one and you can be patient in order to understand of meaning and how to use, how it will be useful in order to express the idea using these tense. And next one, this is the name 3 main things, and there are sentences which you can put dice and rolling dice and find the question. You have to answer it. Make easy to identify what do you want to share with them. And next one, it is very useful when you are want to explain the theme about the model works, what you might find, and it makes our students to think about what they might find somewhere. For example, in dessert, maybe in shop, in grocery, in store. It makes think about new vocabulary in order to say what and why. And I ask my students in order to show or to express their idea, new vocabulary in order to show that they have to think about how to enrich their vocabulary in order to ideas with us. And next, please. Thank you. Okay, here is we showed that board games can be classified into competitive games and cooperative games. In the first case, the emphasis on winning or losing and can make the players try their best. And in the case of cooperative, the teamwork, they end up leading at better outcomes in learning process. It means that every coin has 2 sides, the same thing with board games. Board games makes the group work in cooperative way, became a team in order the team, and sometimes it will divide into several groups. It makes them take some in competitive way gaming or playing this game. But still, you have that everything has advantages and disadvantages. The same thing with board game too. And I had to say something about the advantages of using our board games. During the English classes, they help to work some specific structures and contents. As a reinforcement in the content work in the classroom with activities. They ensure that all students participate in the session. Is the best thing, because sometimes some students with low knowing English language try to be in the back of the classroom, but we make them to be the lesson. We make them to feel their self-confidence and self-esteem in order to show that they are part and they are the same level with other students. They ensure that all students participate in the session, and this is the best. Both good and the low level English learners can participate in the board game without any problems, because some of them has strengthened in reading, some of them has in listening, and if they are in one group, they can be as a chain, and they make their best in order to show their group is the best one among other groups. And there are games adapted for everyone. That here is you can find out that the low English knowing learners can show their ability, of course, at the same time. And of course, board games offer and helps to teacher who directs the class. Tools for teachers too, because they can manage, they can see what their needs and what is the weak points in grammar or in listening and reading. And after identify what kind of things you have to revise and take as a revision to students. But here is we have to underline about the disadvantages too. Yeah. And using board game, these tools require a lot of time to use them in order to create something, in order to explain to students. Sometimes a certain number of people can play the board game. It's true, but very good groups, we can divide them into several mini groups and we can work with them. Students can be very competitive against each other and start conflicts depending on the game. Yes, this is the opinion, because sometimes some students, as they are freshmen, all of them came from all over the country. They were the leader in their places, and in the universities, they want to show their leadership skills. They try to speak, and sometimes when they can't find some words, they start to argue, or they want to show that they know, but they can't underline their opinion because they are lack of some vocabulary. But nevertheless, we can say that it would be better for them to increase, to enrich their vocabulary. Sometimes there is an age limit, but as we know, our students, our children, they try to speak in English, they try to make their best in order to learn a lot of words. And both games helps them in order to identify their weakness spot, their strong spot, and make sure that they will work in the future. Next, please. Yeah. As we know, everything has the same thing. Board games has their own rules for during board games, which we use during our classes. Teacher's role is he has to explain. When board games are introduced for the first time, students might be unfamiliar with the concept. Teachers should introduce students to the important terms they need to know. They should explain properly to roll dice. What steps should the students do? For example, if there is some puck, they have to go back. Teachers everything in good way in order to make students make fun during board game. Next one, please. Yes, and here is we talked about the students' role. As we know, every student has their own rules during the board game. In group, students take turns rolling the dice. In other board games, we should use dice and some buttons. It means you can take stones or clips, maybe something else in order to make a turn part with during the game. And here is moving their game pieces along the spaces on the path on the game board. Students land on the space and respond to the prompt by using their personal experience, imaginations, critical thinkings, or to form answers. Sometimes they haven't an experience according to that question, but they can just use their critical thinking in order to open and be a winner. The students' response in each game are open-ended, and there is never one correct answer, of course, because everybody has their own opinion about their question, about their issues. Next. Yes, during the play, as we know, a teacher as a judge, he has to speculate. He has to go among the group in order to be available during the game to the groups. ask question for help understanding for avoid. Some may have asked the teacher should respond to the question as quickly as possible without interfering in the game, because teacher just as an observer, he has to listen attentively to points which students can't understand, but not interfere in the game. Listen and show interest, ideas and opinions, because every student has their own view, own answer, and teacher has to listen, and only after games he can make some advices or recommendations according that problems. Next one. Thank you. This is one of the favorite board game which classes. Now the identified here is you for favorite things. Our colleagues make use to this one, and seasons, fruit, coloring, hovering. It means the students have to roll and find out what kind of questions they have. It may be one of them, for example, foreign languages which they like, or place to speak, dessert, or sweat, time of day. It means it makes them to think. Sometimes if you ask what does he like to drink, sometimes they started to think how to not embarrassed. But still, sometimes when you ask about what's your favorite color, they start to think, what was my favorite color? It means that it makes them to think about their favorite things, wishes, in order to make set goals and to go there step by step to identify what is dream, what is goal difference, and in order to achieve them. Okay, next one, please. The answer, because during answering, students can use simple responses. It's of their level of English. For example, some student can answer, for example, my favorite season is winter because I love skiing. Just in two other, but some of them make widen and explain us. For example, fruit banana, my favorite fruit. Have one for breakfast, I will be sad and hungry all day long. It means they express their opinion why he needs banana, why it is very favorite for him, in order to show that it is very he during this answer show that he knows a lot of things according to his favorite fruit or his favorite season, and he wants to show their ability to express their idea. Okay, next one, please. Yes. Sometimes my students ask that can they play board games during other classes, other courses? Yes, of course they can do it. It depends of teacher's ability. It depends of students' desire how to use it. For example, also that work using board games on several areas at the same time, because and that revolve around each of the game deal not only with English but also with topics such as math or nature sciences. For example, in math, board games is very useful because when the students see, they can understand better when hearing. It means that they can identify numbers, the issues of math, and it will be easier for them and to verify what kind of solutions they want to show and to express. In social science and nature, the same thing. For example, if you start to work with board games with the children, 8 to 12, it make very fun for children because they can identify the variety of plants or vegetables or fruits. It makes them to think how to identify by colors, by shape, and it will be very fun and challenging at the same time for little children, but still they be interested in learning and finding some answers and increasing and improving their vocabulary using board games. Next one, please. Yeah, here's my conclusion. Say that those students who learn English language through board games achieve a better communication level, as well as they are more motivated in comparison to those who are used to learn in an ordinary teaching without this kind of tool. For example, here is I can underline the achievement of our university. As I mentioned, groups which all the courses, all subjects are taught in English. Those students has the opportunity to go abroad by Erasmus Mundus program, by Enactus. We had very good, of course, nearly 15 our students Spain to Bulgaria, using during our classes board games and various games in order to enrich their vocabulary. They made this sense in order to understand our experience and skills in order to enrich their knowledge too. Furthermore, that most of these games are especially useful to encourage students to speak in English while having fun. As we know, 21st century, the century of internet technologies, and using these technologies in the right way in order to make our children wiser, in order to make our children smarter, and make their self-confidence, self-esteem person. Game, one of the reasons, one of the which can help us to reach our goals. We, our teacher, will be very proud of our students if they use it in their future profession, career, during their work. Okay, I'm listening to your question. If you have any question according this same, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mutriba, for this wonderful session. We have got questions from the audience.
Okay, welcome.
Let me read you some of the questions. So I don't know if you have the experience on using board games online. We've got a question from Azra Tajhidi that is saying, how can we use board games via online tools for online group activity?
Yeah. So, thank you for the question. It is very interesting, but still we know that in Tajikistan and with some experience use board games, because as we know, classroom you can use, you can at first upload and then use these board games, but it will be a little bit challenging for some students if they haven't any internet connection, or if they have some difficulties of computer skills. It will be a little difficult, but still, if they are students who has good connections, they can use it. Yeah, of course. And we have a very interesting platform. There are a lot of fun board games which can help us to increase vocabulary and ability to speak.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So board games usually, bring competition, yes, to the class.
Yeah.
So students love it because it's kind of they become very competitive. And we have a question from Natya, who's asking, is being competitive good? So doesn't a student focus more on winning rather than like focusing on the language, or the target language?
Yeah, but still we have to remember that nevertheless you are children, you're adults, still you want the same thing during the learning language game. You have to explain students that they have used only English language, And you have to say that if they use any other language, for example, their native language, it will be penalized. And of course, they try just focus on English and to proper sentence in order not course, and it makes them to think about how to use the new connected with your theme, for example, this lesson, and then they try to. It's not only competitive; it's cooperative game to the same time, because groups they are consist of some students, 5 of them, 4 of them. It makes them to be in one team to in order to win another. And still, it depends of the skillness of the teacher, of course. If you explained before the lesson that only English, we're not. In this way, they speaking skills, vocabulary skills, and show their ability to make and to be among the group.
Yeah, I think they unconsciously learn the language too. So I have. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, welcome. It means that you understand that how quickly you can learn English and listening some songs or watching some movies in English. For example, my little daughter watched a lot of cartoons, and she started to speak in Russian with me. She asks me questions in Russian using speech, using cartoons of dialects, and I think that the same thing we can use towards our students. So we have to try it.
Absolutely. I recently, played this game with my 6-year-old nephew, and he also learned the skill of he likes doing things individually, but here he understood that he needs people, to work with. And then when I didn't have time, I said, just pretend that you are playing with, with your cousin. And then he said that this is me and this is my cousin, and then he started to even invent some stories that they were about feelings, and that was like popcorn and it's like hungry. And he said, they went again to this popcorn, they feel like hungry, and he's kind of inventing story too. So I think you're right. It depends on the teacher's creativity, who brings some component of, even teamwork learning and some, creativity too. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mutriba. And we've got a question from Parvina, where we can find board games with their descriptions.
Yeah, as I mentioned, that we have platform American English. There are a lot of types of board games or where you can upload them. For example, during my ETM program in 2016, we have very experienced teachers from US. They shared all their skills with us. They games with us, and it made me to think, why not to use it in a profitable way in order to make my students attracted, to make my students interested in my lessons. Because sometimes it is difficult for our students because learn, for example, economy. Though they didn't learn this one at school, and it's a little bit for them. And using such board games, we can attract them and make them to learn some economical new themes or maybe some series. It will be useful for them games and learning the same time. And American English platform, there are a lot of new board games. They did a lot of online board games which they can use during their classes too.
Yeah, thank you, Mutriba. So if you have any other, sources or links, so please share them with us so that we can also share with our followers and participants. So we have also on our website, English Without Borders, we have games and activities. So there you can find, a lot of board games too. So a question from Parvina, do you usually use the ready ones, I mean the templates of the board games, or you sometimes you create your own too, which you adjust, you know, to your subject or theme?
Thank you very much for this question. Sometimes we make with our own self because students who work in team, for example, we have little work of students. We can ask our students to create it. For example, the last thing which was interesting for my student of shipping the goods. For example, we said that from China to United States, what kind of terms of shipment do we have? And they have started to think about, they said, FLEPP, CIF, CIP. But then I asked, what does it mean? Show it in games in order to make clear for other students, because this is economical terms which some students from, for example, villages can't understand it. And they create very interesting. And yesterday we used it during our classes, and it made our students have fun. And it was at the first challenging, of course, because this is the freshman students. Some of them doesn't know English well, but during the classes they started to understand, and at the end of the classes they started to explain and chatting between each other. And I said that it will make them think creatively. They may be self-confident, they can do something new by themselves. It means that we can start. We have some examples of it, and in the future I will share with too.
Yeah, I love this approach when teachers, you know, give even students the right, you know, to create materials themselves, so they become more responsible for their studies too.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so this is amazing when students, you know, work with the resources that they invent.
Yes, from the if they start by their own, it means they started to think how to make it better in better way, in order to show that they not only master Russian and Tajik language, they started to see in English way, and it makes us to feel ourselves happy that is something, some grip, maybe little, but at the same time it's a good response, the step to the.
Exactly. So there are a question from Orif, who is saying, do you have also an experience of mixing board games with gamification concept?
No, unfortunately, we haven't just now such experience, but after listening to this question, I'll try to use in the future, because as we know, live and learn, it means that we have a long time to find out new games and to use it during our classes. My best.
Yeah, so this is, I think, English Adult Board is giving, you know, is giving opportunity to everyone to share experiences and resources, and we are learning here from each other too. So thank you also for those who are asking their questions and also sharing their resources too. So Hassanova Nargis is asking if you know about marbles board games. It's very useful game in order to learn new words.
Yeah, I have heard about it, because 3 years ago, I didn't know about board games which can use in grammar. But that time we used it in order to enrich, to improve our students' vocabulary. Sometimes we asked our students to come to board and to write the words, and they can continue in order to enrich, and they had a chance in order to repeat some words to write, and this made them to remember all the words which they wanted to show them. Yes, it was very interesting for us, and nowadays sometimes, yes, I use it, and I want to my colleagues to games in order to share and to gain new knowledge from them too. As I mentioned before, English Without Borders platform, the best one which we have, Thank you very much for Nasiba Mirkocho, for you, Gulnoro, that you took us such opportunity to have experience, to exchange our ideas, because it makes our teachers be in one team, to work together, to straighten and to know each other. Because before this platform, I haven't heard anything about the teachers who was in Pomir or in Cologne. After Expo anniversary of IBV, news about them, and it helped me widen my of how can we use it, how can find new friends in order to be in one path with them, in order to improve the knowledge of our students and to make flourish the Pakistan. Because we are teachers, just dream of our country more beautiful, more attractive to the tourists, to the investors from all, as our leader of the nation mentioned. Is the paradise in the world, but still we have to work hard in order to attract other people in the corner of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have some regular followers and participants of the English Without Borders webinar. So today we have like Fernando, he's from Brazil, and he regularly visits our webinars, and he also gives a lot of nice kind of feedback, and also asks interesting questions and shares other resources. So yeah, we really thank those who join us outside of Tajikistan and who are interested in joining this English teaching community. So there is also another sharing resources, that Frisbee is another excellent game for students learning English for business, Nasiba is saying.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the sharing. It means that English became a huge bridge, a very hard and difficult bridge, which can widen our way to our future in order to be in collaboration and enhance our knowledge in order to be among the teachers who are eager to, in order to make their future brighter, to make our country and our world more lighter than before.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So, Mutriba, the resources that you've mentioned and the experience you were talking about. So you were talking mostly about your own experience, and I believe that you work with students, right, with adult learners.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
have you,
Yes. Yeah.
have you ever had an experience to work with children or with younger learners? And again, I believe that the advantages and disadvantages you were talking about mostly from your experience, again, working with adults. So if you have an experience working with children and using board games, can you share some of that experience and also the advantages and disadvantages too? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much for this question. Yes, I'm a happy teacher who has ability and chance to work with the children too, because in our university we have a center of languages where the come from the Khujand city, from the nearest village, and there we can find the children from 6 years age till 16, 17. And now today I'm with my group who are 10 years till years. And yes, I usually use board games with them. And I can say that it is a from students. Yes, you're right. Why not? Because friends, they see and they feel by another way. They are interested in games. And usually with them board games which is connected with the themes of fruit, vegetables, or the part of body, or about the weather or favorite seasons, because the children are more interested in these themes. And today we had one of these interesting games with my pupils, I can say, because they are from 10 and 14 years old age. And yes, you're right, but mentioned everything has the advantages and disadvantages. Advantages in this game with these kids, they are more responsible. They feel that they have to learn for this one lesson all the vocabulary. They try their best not to go to board and to write down what they remembered. But disadvantage is that it is a little hard for kids to be in lose, not to remember something. Sometimes they start to cry. It is a little bit hard because unfortunately the game must have winner and loser at the same time. And sometimes I explain my they have to be patient, they have to learn more hard at home, and next lessons sometimes I create some easy and to give them in order to make themselves to feel more better, to be winner, and they became more active during the lessons. They want to be first during among their classmates. This is the disadvantage with kids because they can't hide their emotion. They started to complain, and it's to be tolerant towards it.
Yeah, I think they also have the sense of competitiveness. So it's both like it can be find both in children and adults. So they want to be, everyone wants to be the winner, right?
Yeah,
but
nevertheless, you are adults, you are children, still we want to be the best, still we want to be a winner.
Yeah, so do you have any prize for those who win?
Yeah, of course, if they are kids, sometimes we prepare some gifts which made by our hands. It will be a shape of star or a shape of flag in order to show place they who is the second place, they can take the flag shape figure, and of course candy sometimes.
Good. Thank you, Mutriba. I think we have we read all the questions we have, and we have a lot of comments on this wonderful and they say fantastic webinar. They had a lot of fun, and yeah, so everyone is thanking you for this wonderful session. So yeah, thank you, Mutriba, for sharing this experience, your knowledge, and your resources with us. We really appreciate that. We have this community where we have like the active members who are actively participating in the English Without Borders activities. Thank you, Mutriba.
Thank you very much. Because as I mentioned, it is very unique, I can say, opportunity for us teachers from Khujand, from distant places, experience to teach as I gain today, because it makes us to work harder, to express our, to gain something new in order to use these skills during our classes and enrich ourselves to the same time. Thank you very much for you, Nasiba Mirpochoeva, Madma Gulnoros. Thank you very much for your appreciation, for your help during this our session.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me, on behalf of the whole English Without Borders network, extend our gratitude for such an interesting session. And yeah, to be honest, the English Without Borders network platform is open to all. So we are connecting teachers not only domestically, but also on a global level. And we welcome any volunteers who would like to be part of the English Without Borders and also deliver webinars on English language teaching methodology and pedagogy. So we welcome these initiations, and also we believe that the opportunity for sharing and exchanging of opinions and also knowledge and expertise among the teachers will boost and also just generate more ideas for future collaborations between the teachers, English, particularly English language teachers around the globe. And please join English Without Borders activities, initiatives. We'll be happy to get connected with you, and wishing all of you to have a nice evening, and please stay tuned on us, because in spring, particularly March, April, and May, we'll be having more speakers from different parts of the world, and we are so excited about that. So we also encourage our regular followers who are joining us from different parts of the globe also be part of this initiative, and also join the webinars and participate and present during the English Without Borders webinars. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you to all, to our speaker, to our audience, and also to English Without Borders staff. So yeah, please stay tuned on us and follow our posts on social media. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye. Have a good night.